All right. Hi, everyone. So thank you so much for coming today to our little presentation about summer opportunities and study abroad. Abby and I, have some experience with like certain summer programs. I'm sure Lois does too. And then Lois has also done study abroad. So we hope to kind of help you guys like figure out whatever opportunities you're interested in during this talk. And first, we'll start with quick introductions. So my name is Bhavana. I'm a junior majoring in neuroscience and behavioral biology and minoring in QSS. And I'm on the Prepare Committee of PHA.
Hi, I'm Abby, and I'm a junior, and I'm majoring in anthropology and human biology on the pre-med track, and I'm on the Explore Committee of PHA.
Hey, hi everyone, I'm Lois. I'm a senior double majoring in biology and Spanish on the pre-med track, and I am one of the coordinators for the Prepare Committee. Yay!
All right, so we'll go ahead and get started. And the first part of our presentation is focused on on summer programs. So we wanted to start off by talking a little bit about, why summer programs can be so helpful and beneficial for a lot of like pre-health students to consider. So as you can see, there's a lot of different branches that, these programs cover. So you could delve into research at a lab like close to home or here near Emory. Like there's so many different programs out there. You could do like community service work, gain some clinical experience, which would help you, see more deeply into like what the healthcare world is like. There's definitely tons of leadership oriented programs, and leadership is again something that typically when you're applying to something like medical school, that is something that they kind of like look at just to see, how your leadership has grown during your time in college. And the last thing is on the job experience. So a lot of people do like work over the summer and they combine it with research or community service or clinical experience. So it's really like whatever you want to make it. You can craft it based on your passions, based on your pre-health interests, all of that. So this next part might look a little bit scary, but basically we just wanted to show you guys like what types of things they could potentially like ask you for when you apply to some of these programs. So, they might ask for some essays, they might ask for your resume or like your CV, letters of recommendations, courses, all of these types of things. And I do want to say that if you guys are like freshmen and sophomores, especially, like no need to worry or anything about things like, like letters of recommendation, because you guys are still obviously getting to know your professors and things like that. But we just kind of wanted to keep all these things on your mind for what a program could ask. But you just have to find the ones that, fit you the best. All right, so as I've been saying, there's a huge range of summer programs out there for you guys if you're interested. And obviously some of them might be a little bit easier to find than others. And you kind of have to craft it towards your interests and what you want to get out of the summer program. So based on, my experience, I do think it's very helpful to think about like what type of program you want to be involved in. So for me, I kind of chose like the research route. I have a lot of friends who choose like volunteering, community service, clinical experience, all of these types of things. So kind of narrowing that down at first is really helpful in order to actually search for these opportunities, because that's kind of like the next part of the process is narrowing down like where you want to apply to, whether you want to stay at home or, go to another state or stay near Emory. These are all kind of things to keep in mind. So we wrote down like a couple of strategies that have worked for other students in the past when it comes to looking for these programs. So the first one is obviously like your go-to Google searches. So typing in something like summer internship research 2023, let's say you're interested in like cancer research, you could add that to the search and kind of see what comes up. And there's a lot of really professional like organizations out there that you can use like their specific summer program finder tools that will kind of like narrow down everything for you. And it makes it a lot easier because I know at first it might seem like a little bit overwhelming with so many things out there. So the other thing is school websites. So you guys are Emory students. Emory is a good place to start to kind of see what we have to offer, and then going from there. So if there are like specific types of schools that you guys are interested in after you graduate from Emory, whether that's like medical school, other types of schools, those are places where you can see like what programs they offer. And it's really cool because it also gives you like the opportunity to visit those schools as an undergrad and do summer programs there. And then again, as I mentioned, a lot of medical schools around the country accept undergrads to do research in their labs. Okay, before I go on, I know that was a lot. So any questions so far? Okay, perfect. You can always interrupt me if you guys have anything. Okay, so next is large governmental organizations. So if you take the CDC, for example, it's literally like right down the road, which is crazy to say sometimes, like it's right there. But organizations like the CDC or, like the NIH or places like that will also have tons of research opportunities available for undergrads. It's just about kind of like, you could look at like the LinkedIns of previous like Emory undergrads who may have worked in those labs and network a little bit in order to see like if that is a possible route for you to go in. So the fact that you guys are here shows like your proactivity. So thank you so much for coming. And over time, asking these questions will definitely help you kind of figure out what program is best for you guys. So again, as I said, looking on LinkedIn, asking upperclassmen. I don't know if me and Abby were in the same research program. What was yours?
Oh, I didn't do a research program, but I
volunteer
did just
program.
like, I did research over the summer, like without a program.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, so there's definitely a lot of different ways that you can do research or participate in a summer program. And then one of the biggest things, and again, I know this is a little bit tuned towards research, but we're going to talk a little bit more about other summer programs as well. But we have a fantastic group of Emory undergraduate research ambassadors who have like extensive research experience here at Emory. So if you're looking for something in the summer, like these are probably people who have been in a couple of different summer programs and who've done pretty well. So definitely reach out to them if you have any specific questions. All right, and then these are just like, if you guys want to take pictures or anything, these are just some examples in Georgia itself. So a big one that a lot of people try to, apply to as Emory students is SURE, Summer Undergraduate Research Program. And I believe the deadline is like somewhere after winter break. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think so.
So if you guys are interested, that's something that you could start looking into. But basically like doing the research on these things will make it a little bit easier to kind of figure out how best to approach them. Okay, and then we put a lot more on here for you guys, but crazy, there's even more than this. And as you can see, Vanderbilt Medical School, Rutgers Medical School, there's just so many different places out here that you guys could consider. And I'll hold on this for a minute. Okay. Perfect. And so with this slide, I kind of just wanted to show you guys like some ways that you can kind of take this like research into your own hands. So websites like the AAMC, for those who may be like pre-med, are like go-to resources. So they will have like everything that has, been proofread, like rechecked, recertified, like everything that is out there will typically be on websites like this. So they'll have like specific systems that you can use to filter out, like if you want to be in a certain state, if you want to have a program that's a certain number of weeks, things like that. You could definitely use resources like this. And then the last kind of big thing about these internships and summer programs that we wanted to say is that there's a lot of different public health opportunities, nonprofit organizations, companies, global health projects. So everything isn't just, like doesn't have to just be research focused. You can definitely like expand out from there and still like learn about like the medical world or the healthcare world in a variety of ways, which is super cool. And then some things that a few people consider for sure are like shadowing programs. So great way to kind of see what the healthcare world is like. Shadowing a physician, an NP, dentist are definitely things that people do over the summer. And the last thing we did want to mention is clinical programs. So as I mentioned before, like clinical experience a lot of times like helps give you like that real world perspective of like what is the healthcare world like, so before you apply to whatever post like undergrad program, you will have kind of like that vision of why exactly you want to apply for that next level and that next step.
Alrighty, I'll take over from here.
Yes,
Thank you,
thank you,
Bhavana, for
Abby.
that really good overview. So just some important things to think about is if you're applying to a summer program, does it provide a stipend or like what is the amount of the stipend? Financial commitment is definitely something you have to consider when like deciding between programs or like where you want to be over the summer. For example, like the Emory Summer Undergraduate Research Experience, sure, they do provide housing if you do get accepted into the program. So that's like a really good bonus. Some training programs may not have a housing component, so there is a big extra cost if you do accept into the program. And then in addition to that, if you're going to be like in Atlanta, for example, and you don't have a car, you have to think about transportation, or like if you were to do a program closer to home and you would have your car or someone to drive you, then that would be like a reduced cost to you. And then just thinking about if you want to apply to summer programs, there are some applications that are already open or ones that are opening very soon. So I recommend that you guys like make a spreadsheet just of like programs that you may be interested in, noting some deadlines, and then just making a list of maybe like what application materials that those programs may require. Like some, as we mentioned, might require like letters of recommendation or like a significant number of essays. So it's good to be prepared for that. And then lastly, some programs have some pretty strong alumni networks. I personally haven't done any like structured research programs, but I know some allow you to like network with people who have done the program previously, or just people who are affiliated with the university. Like, so if you were to do like, I believe there's like some research programs that you can like talk to like current medical students from their university, even if you're not doing like a medical research program with them, they just like have like networking events affiliated with that. And then also some other programs may have additional benefits such as like MCAT training, presentations, and publishing. So some other summer opportunities, I've mentioned this before, I did not do a like structured program for my research because I personally like wanted to do like multiple things with my past summer. So this past summer I was in Atlanta and I did research with my lab that wasn't part of SURE. So I came in like part-time, like twice a week, and I did like 8 hours per day. And then with the rest of my week, I was doing volunteering. So like I volunteered to be like an SAT tutor for refugees in Clarkson, Georgia. And then I was also like tutoring at a middle school for refugees in Decatur. So like that's something I was really passionate about. And it was like a really nice way to like split my time. Because like for programs like SURE, you may be like required to like be in your lab for like a 40-hour week. And like that is like difficult to balance with other things that you may be wanting to do. But yeah, besides that, you can like work in a clinical setting, volunteer at a hospital, hospice center, etc. Or if you have a certification, you could be an EMT over the summer or try scribing, which has long hours. If you have the time for that, you could mentor or tutor students like I did. You could take classes to lessen the stress on your schedule during the school year. And you can network and shadow, which I also did during the summer. It's pretty easy to fit into your schedule. And also you can be creative. You can explore things that are outside of the traditional like pre-health path. Like I was talking to like some like med students that we had for our gap year panel this past year, and like this one girl was doing medical writing during her summers, and then she ended up doing that during her gap years. Like, don't be afraid to try something a little bit different besides like research and like clinical experience.
All right, yay, study abroad. This is one of my favorite topics to talk about because I think that there is a big stigma in the pre-health population that like if you're pre-healthy, you can't study abroad because you can't fit into your schedule and it's really hard to do. So I just wanted to talk about two different options about academic study abroad that could help you consider like how to fit that into your program or into your schedule. So first, summer study abroad. I think this is the most popular option for pre-meds or pre-health people because you do this over the summer. So most of them last for about 6 weeks. And it offers a lot more flexibility than the regular semester program because you're only there for about a month and a half and you can come back and still do research or shadowing during the summer. But it doesn't offer as much time for immersion because you're not there for a long time, but you're able to take like up to 8 or 9 credit hours in the 6-week time span. So you're able to get a lot of credit hours for the short time they're in the country that you choose. And it's also a lot easier to fit into a 4-year plan because one of the cons of the semester study abroad program is that there aren't as many pre-health requisite courses available. So like you can't take Chem 204, like Chem 203 or Biochem abroad because some universities don't offer that. So if you want to do a semester study abroad, I highly recommend. I did a summer study abroad because I didn't really have time to fit that into my schedule. But a semester study abroad is really helpful because it offers a really good chance for exploration and immersion. So you're in a country for about 4 months. You get to know that country really well. And it's a really good way to like learn a new language, immerse yourself, just be away from your like regular bubble, be away from the Emory bubble. But it may require overloading the rest of your semesters or having some really like some harder semesters because in that semester when you're abroad, you wouldn't be able to take as many pre-health courses as you would if you were stateside. And also things to consider with academic study abroad as well is making sure that you choose a program that aligns best with your major and your interests. So for me, I'm a biology major and a double majoring in Spanish. So going to Spain was a really good way for me to go to like help with my major for Spanish and also help increase my Spanish skills. And I think that was really helpful to do that over the summer. But they also have biology programs in Australia. I think they have some in Brazil, Portugal, like all these different programs you can go to in different countries. So that's really helpful to know that like you don't have to only go to one specific country and you have a lot of options, but you do have to think about the time management and having to fit that into your 4-year plan. And also both summer and semester study abroad programs have scholarships available. So I went to Spain with the Gilman Scholarship, and that was super helpful because it gave you up to like $5,000 to go. So I didn't even have to pay anything. I actually got money back from going, so that was really good for shopping and things. And Gilman Scholarship people really like having STEM students apply because there is a lack of STEM students who go to study abroad because of that stigma that like, I won't have time to do it. And I'm so busy with like shadowing and stuff. So I definitely recommend applying for the Gilman Scholarship, especially if you're a person of color or you're low income or you're a STEM major. That's really helpful as well. The second part is to talk about academic study abroad as non-Emory programs. So sometimes if you're looking at the Emory catalog, you just realize that like, I don't really think any of these really align with my interests and I want to do something more. You can always look at a non-Emory program that matches your interests or your needs, and you can petition the Education Abroad Committee to get that approved for credits. The only thing with that is that you'd still be registered as an Emory student, but you'd only receive transfer credit and your grades wouldn't be transferred, but you still get credit at Emory, which would be still super helpful. And you would still be eligible to use federal and state financial aid, but you wouldn't be able to use Emory grants or scholarships. So got to think about those pros and cons. And lastly, for academic study abroad as well, global internships are a really cool way to get business experience or like professional experience, as well as getting academic hours as well. So that program is open to all majors and fields, even though I also feel like with this one, more like pre-business people do it, but it should be open to everyone and getting away from the stigma of like, oh, you can only do internships if you're pre-biz. So students who are placed in internships are placed in like a global city. You spend time with like either a non-governmental organization, like a charity, with a business. So they have like a lot of different fields and areas that you can go into, and you'll place there for the entire semester. So that's also something to think about with like time management. And if you want to take an extra semester in college, if you can't fit those requirements in, and you're matched with an internship that's placed into your area of interest. So if you're interested in healthcare or science or stuff like that, you can be matched into that. And it's also great for people who are interested in like public health or business or the public sector, because you're able to work with like public health organizations or things like that. So there's a bunch of different like examples you could go into. The Emory website for study abroad has like a whole directory of different programs that you can look at. And that's really helpful if you're confused or like unsure about what country is really calling you. But yeah. Fun.
Great.
Mhm.
So these are more like recreational study abroad programs, or just like recreational activities that you can do abroad. Number one is teaching abroad. So there is some foreign schools, if you want to teach abroad and teach like English abroad, you would have to get the TEFL certification, which you can get online or in person, and it usually requires about like 120 hours of training. But usually it opens up your options to like the amount of schools that you can teach at. And then there's some programs that you can teach through, such as Teaching Nomads, CIEE, and Greenheart. And then there's also more like government sponsored programs. And these offer more support in regards to like the visa and contracts. It's more streamlined and you'll have more support when you are in that country. Just like in case of like medical emergencies, like the government will be like making sure that like your housing is like in place, and they're just more like structured, I would say. And then adventure travel programs, it's more like just traveling, not really like studying. But it is like a good way to meet people that may be of like your age group, and just have like a structured itinerary of the place that you're visiting. And they're usually just like pretty short programs just to explore like another culture. And then in addition to that, you can learn a language abroad. So this is like a little different than like if you were learning a language at Emory, it would be a program where you'd probably be like in class for part of the day, and then the rest of the day you would be like implementing what you learned in your language class in like the real like setting with the locals who speak that language. And then also volunteering abroad. This website, goabroad.com, has a lot of reputable volunteer programs with AmeriCorps and Peace Corps. I know it is a big deal that like sometimes when you find like volunteer programs abroad, it can be kind of seen as like volunteerism, and it's like short-term aid that doesn't really like help the local communities, it more like hurts them. So finding programs that are reputable is really important. And then there's two organizations that I have some friends that are involved in, these Emory Global Brigades and Health and Development in Guatemala. So Global Brigades has like a holistic approach. As I said, they're really against like volunteerism. So it's more about community health and sustainability. And their application is open right now for their Honduras trip next May. So if you guys are interested, you can find them on Instagram. I think you can just search like Emory Global Brigades. And then for Health and Development in Guatemala, it's similar. They have like 3 branches, I believe, and one of their major branches is health education. And then they also have like a social impact branch that's like installing stoves and water filters in Guatemala, and also just providing basic medical care instead of like long-term medical care that like they can't really sustain in like a small trip.
Can I add something too?
Sure.
I think you're pretty for it. I really like the slide too. I think with the governmental sponsored programs as well, for example, there's things such as Fulbright that you can do in a gap year, or like she mentioned, Peace Corps as well. So even if you don't feel like you can do a summer or semester study abroad program, always feel free to know that you can do any of these programs during a gap year as well. And that's totally available as well. And most of those gap year programs are about 9 months. So you still have time to like relax during your gap year, which is pretty cool. Yeah.
All right, any questions?
Thanks for attending. Comments? Anything?
And this can be like anything like pre-health related. Yeah.
Are you gonna upload this just so I can see the information?
Yes, I think it'll be on the SharePoint, on the
Yes.
PHA SharePoint. Yeah.
Any other questions? Like anything pre-health related? Yeah.
What year did you do your summer study abroad?
I did it this summer, so from May to June of like a couple months ago, basically. Yeah, very cool.
Find your business students.
Oh, that's a great
Yeah,
question.
yeah.
It's actually on the PHA SharePoint as well.
Like our bio?
Yeah, I think.
Okay.
Very help. You can also send this in the I'm just gonna-
Random professor.
I was gonna look.
And if you guys like need to make any appointments through, it's any appointments as well, it's typically through
I'm sorry, okay.
college.
Oh my
Oh my
God,
goodness.
oh my God. Excuse my.
Be secure.
Yeah, I'm really secure.
Oh my gosh, how did you memorize?
It's like one of my favorite songs. I don't, it's not hard to remember. Okay,
Oh,
There you go.
Yeah.
okay, there we go.
There we
So,
are.
Here we are. Wait, where's Abby? There's
There's me.
Abby. There's me. Where's Bhavana? Bhavana. So if you like click on someone's name, you can get our information. I think our email should be on here.
Yeah, I think if you go to the page before, it's like under.
Has it?
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
perfect. Yeah.
Mhm.
So you can see our majors, our emails, go through that. So if you have any questions, feel free to email us, please. We'd love to. And also, yeah, we also have appointments as well. So we're free like Monday through Friday,
Yeah,
anytime.
if you want to meet with me at Monday at 10 a.m.
Yeah, Abby has the open slot, 2 open slots next Monday, and I am on Fridays
And
I-
I'm on Mondays in the
Mm.
afternoon.
in the afternoon. Yeah,
Better times.
so feel free. Anything- Any more questions? I guess we could also show like how, like, what the study abroad programs look like too. So if you want to like search up any program that you're interested in, they have like semester abroad and summer abroad as well. And it's a really cool list of just everything that we have to offer, like all the countries as well. And if you're interested in research as well, you can look at Emory PRP, which is the undergraduate research program. And that's where they have the peer ambassadors that you can schedule appointments with. If you want like personalized help on how to find research, these are really great people to like help you go through all that. What else do we mention?
I think I have 2 links on the. Yeah, so we could just kind of.
Oh, cool. You want to go through this?
I haven't used this yet, but yeah, it was with the AAMC, so I feel like this would definitely be really helpful. Especially because you can kind of pick what type of program you want, so definitely like feel free to use this if you're searching for something really specific. For me personally, like I kind of wanted to do something like near Emory, so I didn't have to like use this tool for out of state type of stuff. But that is one resource that is really helpful. And then this was just an article that I was kind of reading through from like US News. So again, like don't just have to do research. There's so many different things out there. Whatever you're interested in, kind of follow your heart.
Yeah, I think we'll post the PowerPoint on SharePoint as well, so you'll have
Yeah.
access to
Are you
that.
guys familiar with like the PHA resources, like the blog and the SharePoint?
Kind of.
So I
I
think we
think
have
you just like search up in Google, like Emory PHA SharePoint. It'll
Yeah.
come up. So hopefully it's a little distance.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's one of the first.
And
Yeah.
then also for sophomores, if any of you guys are sophomores, typically start like a 3-step process, like with the mandatory group checkup and then a one-on-one peer mentor meeting, and then you guys typically have like a meeting with your advisor. So once sophomore year like comes along, that's something that you could be on the lookout for on our social media. And I think we actually have one
Next week.
coming up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mandatory
we are.
group meeting.
Yes,
Never
next week,
come.
yeah.
Perfect. So that's all we have for you guys today,
Yeah.
but if you have any questions,
Feel free.
again,
Like we're
email
still
us.
here.
We're still
Yes.
here, yeah. Just one.
Just one.
Just
okay,
one, yeah.
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 Would you guys recommend like maybe like working to like get a summer research program or just applying?
definitely
That's a
network.
really good question, yeah.
I think apply just in case, but like networking is a really good way to get into research as well.
Mhm. And for some programs, they definitely like, so some programs you apply and then they kind of place you in a lab, but in other programs, it's like you like kind of get everything set up with your PI beforehand, and then you like apply with your PI and with your lab. So it all just depends on which program interests you. No pressure.
You guys are great.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
Have a good night.